Hey everyone, I'm here again with a update for Apacies, a love letter series. This version I have dubbed zero point 0.5 because it's kind of alpha 0.5, kind of still working out everything. Uh, but thank you for your patience and letting me extend this update over a month. I was having a lot of issues with a lot of things, but I was able to get some good stuff out. Some of which you won't be able to see because of changes I'm going to be making next month, which I'll get to at the very end. I'll explain that as we go. And yeah, I have a list of all the things that I update on this side. And just to let you know, I'm not looking off into space when I'm looking over there. So first off, we've got a new menu display. I got a little sick of the parchment, so I updated pretty much all of the menus to look a little different. And I went and already got Duskcape Myriad. For some reason, this isn't showing anymore. It's a minor bug. I didn't worry about it for the very end of this update. But again, a better representation of last time. I have the boxes in the background representing the primary type that this Apacies is. Myriad being normal, it's just gray, but Duskcape being air, it's showing a lighter blue. Not the lightest blue because of cold, and not the darker blue because of aqua. Yeah, you know. Blue's a little overused there, but another thing, in this update, you can reorder your Apacies. In fact, it'll just save whatever order there is, no matter who, no matter what spaces are empty. So here, it would show Duskcape being the first space, Myriad being the second. Yeah, a little buggy with menu buttons, but I assure you that's what it is. But then if I do this, Myriad will be first, Duskcape will be second. So it's a little bit of ordering for your party. And it's click and drag, which is something I had not worked with before and found it relatively simple and intuitive. So, a lot of menu changes. I do have a saving mechanic, which is a little weird. So it works perfectly when the application is up by itself, but I'm having bugs that I will show right now on the screen. If you exit the game and try and rejoin, I have no idea what this is. Maybe I'll put up some code, my code. Maybe you guys can help me figure out why this is. But I've been struggling this for quite some time, and I just wanted to push out the game with what mechanic I knew was going to be available during the weekend that I can put this out and would be on time. So another thing is evolution. So Duskcape's a solo evolution, Myriad's a multiple, so neither one of those are terribly good examples. But for Apacies that have a one branch path, simple and easy, I made it so that they evolve on that level. Eventually I will insert a player opportunity cancel, much like Pokemon, you press B when it's evolving, and nope, it won't. It might be something along the lines of, in the Apacies description menu, this right here, there will be a toggle being keep it a Myriad, keep it a Duskcape instead of its evolved form. Something like that. It might be an interrupt because that is a good way to keep your player involved and more invested in the Apacies, but it gets a little annoying when you have to do it each level. So it might be a cutaway where there's a 5-second, hey, this Apacies needs you in some way. You say yes, and then it evolves. Maybe that'll be how I evolve, how I evolve the evolving mechanic. I portaled Nogales, which I probably should have gone to, but it's the town that you weren't able to access before, at the very southernmost point of the map. I'm not gonna worry with that. Oh, wait, duh. Okay, so new layout again for this menu. Kind of spaced it, I've been looking at this for a while. So, again, with last update, there was the better perspective. Your Apacies are closer, the enemy Apacies are further away. But then I've simplified the menus a little bit so they look cleaner. They don't use the old grass coloring that I had before. And I got rid of the dialogue box because... Fake out. See that right there? That yellow hit marker? There are 8 different hit markers that can appear. That green one. So, the yellow means it's a ×1 effectiveness. The green means it is good for the Pokemon for the Apacies it hovers over. So, Moltant took half damage from Mariad's attack, which I believe was Dark type. Mass Chirping? No, just normal type. So Moltant is resistant to normal attacks, while Mariad is neutral to whatever attacks Moltant is using. With that, there's also a red one where it's super effective. I have effective. I don't have super effective. I don't have the ×4 set up, but I do have a ×2, which also works with ×4. And then for each status that an Apacies acquires, that will pop up with a very understandable symbol for what status it is. For sleeping, it's a bunch of Z's. For poison, it's a skull with green oozing out of its mouth and bones. For paralysis, it's just lightning, stuff like that. And it will also appear every time that status affects the Apacies in question. That's why I felt comfortable getting rid of the dialogue system, because if you're paralyzed and you didn't get a turn and nothing indicated to you, you'd be kind of pissed off. But if you're paralyzed, a lightning bolt appears over your Apacies and it isn't that Apacies' turn anymore, I'd assume you'd be a little bit more comfortable. I'm gonna have more tells along the way. I might bring back the dialogue system because it's weird not to know the enemy's move that they're using. But it also might build out the world, so I'm kind of struggling with that. Plus, I really like the idea of not having a dialogue system at all for the battle. That way you're solely focused on the battle. But lastly, another thing that you will see, hey, this guy's new. He has some weird Apacies. I have trainer battles. I have trainer battles implemented, and I'm so happy for that. I just realized Patriotism is still at 128. I need to upload that new sprite. Anyway, so simple trainer battles are initiated. I have a few set out, but because of what's happening next month, or what I'm hoping to do next month, I didn't put too many. But basically, one in each of the paths in between towns, there's a trainer. They don't have randomized parties, but it's still going to be somewhat of a challenge, especially with 2 level 5s versus what would have been a level 5 and a level 3, I think. I don't remember Mariad's level. It would be very hard. But it's a good way for me to show off Apacies that aren't readily available easily. Patriotism you can get, I believe, in the world right now, but it is a very rare chance. Ituis, I don't think you can. Maybe you can. I'm just so used to going down that one vertical pathway. But since trainer battles are initiated, I can work on a monetary system. I can make them give you items. But I don't, since the items don't work yet, you can't really use the items except for the Dreamcatcher. And money wouldn't really matter because there's no, you can't spend it on anything and you can't display it anywhere. I just didn't bother with giving any of these trainers money or items. But it's what I can work towards in the future. And since it's already in place, it should be relatively easy for me to implement. So I've been dancing around what I'm doing next month because of 2 reasons. First, I'll tell you that next month I plan on really seriously focusing on maps and map layouts, because the simple vertical and horizontal pathways are getting really repetitive and dull. So each town might stay the same, but Tombstone and Nogales are very, very compact and have a lot of things going on, and I'm thinking I want to change that up. And then towns like Aho and Sale, they look very bland. I need to do something with level design, and I need to bolster my knowledge of that so I can make those more interesting for a player. And then for the pathways, oh dear god, I need something. So I'm planning on making each route a very, very intricate thing. Since they are going to be the primary catalyst for a game's length, they need to be enjoyable and somewhat lengthy. So I'm gonna try and work in different side quests and things to open up paths in these new routes, or at least let me do that down the road. But expect, this is what I primarily want update 0.51 to be, other than bug fixes, which is why it's 0.51. I want it to have fun, intuitive routes. If I'm able to do that to a very satisfactory degree, it will instead be 0.6 updates, because I'll be happy that the routes are enjoyable. And with that, I'm thinking about a new spawning mechanic. Instead of having it be an area that you can't even see if you're entering in, which currently it's the entire scene, hint hint, I am wondering if I can work in the trainer mechanic that I already have, since it's just running in to that trainer and it's battle. I'm wondering if I can change the spawner to do little black shadows that move around the map and will try and chase you. So it's a lot like Sword and Shield, Pokemon Let's Go, where there are Apacies around the map, and it's more of a living, breathing world. That would be super cool, and maybe I can get it into next update. I'm not entirely confident that I can, but that is one thing that I absolutely want to do. I have to fix the saving mechanic, otherwise the whole game's kind of for naught. So hopefully I can get that next update. And then I have a quest system. It's as simple as the trainer system right now, where they have a set. The quest system lets me mass produce very simple quests, so perhaps later on, quite further on down the line, I'll be able to have NPCs randomly generate simple quests, kind of like what Skyrim does. That is my plan. So that's in place. For right now, I can make specific simple quests and give them out to NPCs, but you wouldn't be able to see your progress on those, so I didn't implement any of them. Again, maybe I'll be able to do it next update. I'm putting a lot on this next update, and I really shouldn't, because it's more of a bug fixing update. But I also feel bad because I just spent 2 months, and a lot of it you can't really see yet. Yeah. I also am still thinking about use of items in the overworld, because now that I have the drag and drop system of the Apacies party, I would like to implement a drag and drop item system where you have the party on one side, you drag an item over it, and it's something like, do you want this Apacies to hold this item? Would you like them to use, or would you like to use it on them right now? Something along that line. And then one last thing, I would like to try and get sound effects for hitting Apacies, for using moves, so that whenever... Yeah, okay, one of them got the drop on me. So whenever a move hits an Apacies, you'd be able to get an auditory feedback, and then I can make each move sound a little bit different, So even though I don't have graphics, because I'm not too much of an artist, I'm working on that, but I don't have that set up for more than 200 moves. I think more than 300. Oh. I'll put up a count of how many moves I have right now. But just to make the moves more individualized, so maybe that would be a solution, is because with the sound effect and the graphics, I won't need to declare what move the enemy Apacies is using, which could be interesting, since you'd have to figure out the type just by moves, along with the Apacies using it, so maybe. So, please, go check out the game. New update is out for people on Patreon, and the .41 update is out for the public. Have fun! Hey, thanks for watching. If you're interested in supporting me in any way, you can patronize me at patreon.com/direfon, and you can play my game at direfon.com. It is the public release. Patrons get a version ahead of the public, whether it be a month gap, 2-month gap, as I just recently had. So if you like Pokemon but have ideas of how you can make it better, that's what I'm trying to make. If you'd like to support, I would love to hear what you have to say. Have a good night.